So Ubisoft sent us a pair of Ubi socks.
You get one, I get one. We'll find out.
We can use them as stocking stuffers.
It's not a bad idea.
Hey YouTube, welcome back to our channel. My name is Egalina.
And I'm Bjorn.
And we're Viking Age reenactors and living historians here to answer your questions.
So this is our second Q&A that we've had with you guys. We did our very first one when we hit 100 subscribers back in the day. And we thought it would be like a fun thing to do for the first 100 of you guys. And now we're almost at 2,000, which is mind-blowing. We're very delighted about it, and thank you all, and thank you for your questions. Really appreciate it. Let's get to it!
So originally I actually became interested in Viking history through watching the first season of Vikings. You know, as much as we rag on the show and everything, you know, I'm pretty serious when I say that most of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that show. Most of our viewers wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that show. It's what started the craze about the Viking history and people wanted to know more about it. And it was listening to bands like Monomarth and also my own roots. You know, I'm originally from Russia, so I have lots of Slavic blood in me. And just knowing that that's where my ancestors came from and wanting to know more about that history, like all of that combined basically just made me want to learn as much as I can. I am just a sponge for this stuff at this point. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can every day.
Yeah, that's all we can do. So I got into it kind of when I was younger. Like I always had that mindset of, you know, playing knights and stuff, but in my head it wasn't ever knights. It was always like more brutal, simplified Viking stuff. And I grew up with a few of the myths and some of the folklore and things. And then it really took off when I got to high school and got really into the mythology and discovered all kinds of awesome death metal about it, like Monomarth and Vintroll and whatever I'm wearing right now. And it really like related the stories to me in a very unique way that was just made the history amazing. And that really drove me a ton too. And I followed through and kind of studied it in high school as much as I could for myself. And then I went to college and studied it there. And while I was there, joined a reenactment group, and it's just been one after another after another. So it's just something I can't even stop if I wanted to at this point, you know.
It's just part of you.
Yeah, it's just a part of me.
Egil Saga.
Egil Saga. It's such a good saga. For me, it's whatever one I just read. Egil Saga is such a classic because it's literally everything you want in a Viking story wrapped into one. It's so good. Yeah, for me, like it's been a while since I read all the Icelandic sagas, but I mean, the Laxdal saga is great. I'm really focused right now on Njal Saga because I just finished reading it. Mm-hmm. It's very unique in terms of the story, and it's a ton of legal matters and stuff, but it's still very interesting the way it's prosed, and just the story that goes around leading up into it and then afterwards as well is just like maddening. Mm-hmm. So many cool parts in it. Oh, it's such a good saga.
That is difficult because the sagas have so many characters in them. Literally, son of, brother of, you know, wife
Yeesh.
By, probably Egil.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I'm probably going to go back to him.
Egil, yeah, I mean, honestly, he's always going to be somewhere in my top 3 just because he's a renaissance man of the Viking Age. He just does everything, and it's so great. If I had to pick somebody other than Egil, it's like a hard choice. Again, because I'm so focused on Njal Saga, I'm kind of tempted to say, like, I love the relationship between Njal and like his best friend. I think it was Gunnar. Just because of the mess that they constantly have to keep fixing between themselves, and they're only able to do it because they're such best friends, basically. Just like maddening. But also, I love Njal's son Skarpaden, because he's such a brutal dude too. So I think if I had to pick somebody other than Egil, I would say like Njal or his children, like Skarpaden. If we're focused entirely on the Viking Age, like the technical textbook Viking Age, it's 793 to 1066. It doesn't leave a whole ton up. There's a lot of cool history that happens in that time frame. If I had to choose something other than like the setting that they chose, which was the Great Heathen Army, I would probably go and explore some of the conquests in mainland Europe that kind of went through Frankish territory and kind of led to like the founding of Normandy and things. I think that would be a really cool storyline.
There's a lot of things to explore during the Viking period too, even aside from the English side. Like the founding of Kiev, me being, from around that area, obviously I'm going to say, like, I want to see Kiev. Like, I want to see the founding of Kiev. I want to see the Rus. I want that part of the storyline.
Sure.
That would be really cool. The other thing that immediately jumps to mind is basically what Eivor is and his people are escaping as King Harold. What would it be like to have a game based around the conquest of Harold, Tanglehair at the time, when he starts building his armies and he starts his conquest and starts moving through Norway to actually unite Norway under his rule. That could be an interesting storyline. I don't know if it would make a full storyline for like an entire game, but that could be an interesting central point to the whole thing.
That would be really cool, but I'm also really feeling your idea for the Slavic one, for to be like a Swede Viking, like a Rus, and going south, like east and south down the Volga and into the Black Sea and getting to Constantinople.
That's it, yeah.
Like, cause I mean that would be huge.
Yeah.
Getting to like the Middle East and everything, and it would help to tie the games together a ton too.
Exactly, yeah.
Boom, like that would be awesome, and then you could actually go and experience like the whatever Assassin Lodge and everything. That'd be really cool. You could explore ancient medieval Constantinople.
Okay, we gotta talk to Ubisoft about this.
Yeah, guys, you guys went the wrong direction.
You went that way, you should have gone that way.
You went west, you should have gone east, guys. That broke me a little bit. I'm gonna be completely honest. Wow. I've heard that there's a Russian movie called Viking that's supposed to be awesome.
We should check that out.
We should. I haven't watched it yet, but from the stuff that we have seen, I mean, I think you pretty much get the best representation really in the background characters of Last Kingdom, as well as some stuff with season 1 of Vikings. That's when they actually were trying to be historically accurate. Yeah. The Last Kingdom gets like a really good representation of like their mindset and that kind of struggle between like the Anglo-Saxon and the Norse kind of mindsets and everything, and like the background characters look all awesome.
It also gets a lot of the history right because the source material, the books, are so well researched.
Yeah.
The author is really meticulous about all of the historical accuracies as far as the dates and what happens during those times and the characters and everything. Norsemen has a pretty good representation in its background characters of what the Vikings would have worn. It's a parody on Viking TV shows, but it manages to be more historically accurate than a lot of those Viking TV shows, which is interesting. And of course, we can't ignore Grimfrost's Fated.
Yeah.
It's not a TV show or a movie. So far, it's a short film. That's about, 10 minutes long?
Yeah, not even.
We reviewed it on the channel. Go check that out. And go check out the actual short film. I believe they're trying to make it into a full feature movie.
I don't know if they're trying to make it into a movie or if they're trying to do a series with it. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, maybe a series.
But one awesome thing about... Yeah, so quickly, I agree with you entirely. If we're including the short YouTube video thing, then that is, without a doubt, the best that I have seen. And what's even cooler is the fact that I didn't realize when we were watching it, is the spoken word is actually an old East Norse dialect.
Right.
That they reconstructed, which is mind-blowing.
It's Old Swedish.
It's Old East Norse, basically. Yeah, Old Swedish. amazing detail.
Yeah, we called it Old Norse, but we didn't realize it until we saw Jackson Crawford actually talking about it, because he did the translation for it.
Yeah.
And he said it was Old Swedish. We're just like, of course that makes sense because
Which
we're in
is
Sweden.
which is insane, because they literally focused. Yeah, it makes sense absolutely, but like they focused so much on the historical side of it that they used the proper dialect of Old Norse. Blows my mind.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
What? Yeah, that is the best.
Yeah, go
out
watch
there.
that one.
That, and then season 1 of Vikings, Last Kingdom, whatever. But, yeah, sure, whatever. There's a fair amount of conjecture that we have that suggests that a lot of these modern holidays that we celebrate have influence from pagan holidays, from pagan rituals and things. We see it with Eastern Ostra. We see it with holidays all around the equinoxes and things. Christmas and Yule are actually the two that seem to share a lot in conjecture with each other, but they're not based on each other, really. It's kind of strange. In the Viking Age, from what we know, Yule is actually celebrated on the first full moon after the solstice. So most likely would have been a time in like early mid-January. And there's actually been some discussion about the origins of Christmas, because Christmas was actually, it is based on some kind of pagan holidays, but it's more based around Saturnalia, which is a Roman holiday. So it actually shares a lot more in common with that, and also kind of meets the time frame right around the solstice when Saturnalia would have been. And then it just kind of became easier for them to kind of convert other pagans to Christianity by having a holiday that's very similar to theirs. And of course there's regional things that always affect that as well. Wherever there's a holiday or any kind of celebration, depending on where you celebrate that, there's going to be regional differences for how you celebrate it or what things you do.
That is a great question, and I feel like we can give our own opinion on this until the crows come home, and that's probably going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Because, at least me personally, I haven't talked to a lot of people who have gone into Asatru or like-minded religions recently. Most of the people that I know that are part of them have basically grown up with them, which has always been a surprise for me, that people are being raised by parents these days with these religions. At least in part, the show Vikings was mainly responsible for the rise in the interest of the Viking Age. And I do think that a lot of it has also driven those religions to the forefront as well. I think a lot of it also has to do with the climate outside of, heathenry. It's, people questioning their own religions and questioning, what else is out there, and also trying to get back to nature, because I think a lot of it really is driven by that. It's people wanting to get back to nature. It's people wanting to get away from all of the technology and being separated from others by a screen, and being able to get back to the forest and the land and to kind of feel like themselves again, because humanity, like, we adapted to technology, we adapted to the cities, but we weren't made for it. I feel like
that's why people go for hikes and walks outside. They get to breathe in the fresh air and get a change of scenery and look at the natural world and see animals run around and stuff, and it's very therapeutic.
Exactly.
To kind of reconnect yourself to the natural world around you. And I feel like that's something that's really heavily emphasized in a lot of neo-pagan religions, whether it's Asatru or any kind of like modern shamanism or druidism, Wiccan, any other mysticism, or like native religions as well. It's all kind of centered around this connection with the earth and with the world, with the life force kind of thing, And yeah, and that's something that we don't really get nowadays through other religions. And I mean, who knows what really drives people to that, but I definitely think that has a pretty lasting effect. was like, what do you... Oh. That's cute. Odin. I'm sticking with my answer. I had no such nightmares. My nightmares are scared of me.
Yeah, I haven't had nightmares in a while, actually. Although that was hilarious.
Oh god, the tracksuits were everywhere. We've already talked a little bit about Yule.
Yep.
The Viking Code of Honor thing. I don't know how to phrase this so well. Like the culture itself was very honor based. You know, we have a lot of examples of that just in their religion and in their society. You know, where you would go to Helheim, the worst place you could go in the afterlife, if you were an oath breaker. You know, if you broke your word, or if you committed crimes, like if you murdered people and stuff. But in society also, there was a difference between slaying somebody and murdering somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was this concept of doing things in secret was dishonorable, and the idea of taking like responsibility for your actions was noble. So like for that example, if you killed somebody, if you did something wrong, essentially like that, you could walk by two houses but not a third before you had to announce what you did to somebody, to give you fair sway essentially. There's another great quote that I love from Gisli Saga. I don't know if it's called Gisli Saga, but it's a saga about Gisli. And he was this man who was basically forced to commit dishonorable acts due to the honor of standing by his family. And because of that, he was outcast, and he became an outcast. He was literally hunted to death. By the end of the saga, he's standing on top of this rock and like fighting off like 16 dudes by himself, essentially. But there's a part where he just says like, "We will dare brave deeds even unto the very end," and I feel like that encapsulates that classic honorable Viking mindset of just being bold and living life and just like always like facing things head on. You know, it's better to take the wounds to the fore, essentially, than to have them to your back, because you should never retreat from life. So if you want to live by any kind of like Norse Viking code of honor, it's that. It's to be bold, be daring, and be responsible for yourself. Favorite TV show characters? So many. Darth Maul, Ron Swanson, Tom Freddy April Ludgate, Jerry.
Jerry.
Love Jerry.
Or Gary.
Gary, or Larry, or Barry. Let's see, who else? Jason Mendoza, Michael. I feel like we just kind of watch the same 3 or 4 shows over and over again. Troy and Abed. Sorry. Yeah, when we're not watching all the Viking shows, it's good to just kind of like fall back on something that's a little bit more comfortable.
But yeah, I mean, I think like as far as Viking shows go, Uhtred has always been a favorite of mine. From Last
Ragnarok,
Kingdom.
for me.
Yeah, Ragnar. Lagertha has always been a favorite of mine from Vikings, obviously.
How could she not be?
Yeah, I mean, she's a favorite of just about anybody that watches the show.
Yeah.
You know, the actress is fantastic, and the character is super well written.
Yeah, I think if I was focusing on like the Viking shows,
Athelstan.
He was a really good character.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved Ragnar's character before he became an old man. Like pretty much before Athelstan died, he was an awesome character, and I loved him so much.
Looking forward to Loki. Trailer just dropped. I don't know if we're going to react to it on our show, because that seems more for somebody who's more versed in Marvel than Norse mythology.
Yeah.
But I have always been a huge fan of Loki, and I'm so glad that he's getting his own show.
Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. We really appreciate the involvement from the community and getting to hear from you. And we just love talking and answering any questions you guys have. Always means a lot for us to hear from you all, whether it's in comments or questions like this. If there's anything else that we said that got you to think of something else, or if you wanted to ask us more questions, just always feel free to drop them anywhere. We'll try to answer as best we can, or maybe if we can compile enough, we can make another one of these videos relatively soon.
And for those of you who are waiting for the last season of Vikings, as we are currently, we have a couple more weeks to go, so we are going to be looking back to the start of the Viking series. So keep an eye out. We're going to have a couple of videos coming out your way that we think you're going to love. And we hope you enjoy them. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of our future videos. Check the links below for our Twitch and Twitter, and we will see you in the next one.